Welcome back to another episode of Weekend Woodworking. What I wanted to do today is just show you the miter gauges that I use on my table saw. Or I should say the one that I use now versus the one that I used to use. So I have a rigid table saw, the contractor saw, the 4520. This is the gauge that came with it. This is what I started using initially, but I did tend to find every now and then that this thing wasn't exactly square all the time. And so I did my best to try and square that up a little bit. I bought this piece of aluminum to go on the front. This extrusion, it's nice and flat, so everything was good there. But as I started using the miter gauge more and more, I thought to myself that I wanted to upgrade a little bit, and so I ended up, and I still have this one as a backup always, but I ended up actually upgrading to the Incra V27 miter gauge. This is on kind of their cheaper end, so it's not one of their high-end ones that's got many positive stops at all kinds of different angles. But one of the features that I liked about this one is that it goes all the way up to 60 degrees, and it's got these grooves here. These grooves are the positive stop. And so what it means by positive stop is we can flip this latch open, we can spin this around, and whatever angle we want, we can push that back into that positive stop where it engages right there. And then we can lock this down. And now in this case, we can get a perfectly cut 15-degree angle using our miter gauge. So really handy. That's kind of one of the things that that sold me on it. Now, the downfall with the V27 was that the V27 doesn't come with a fence. And it was a lot of extra money to get the Incra miter gauge that came with the fence. And so what I did is I just took a piece of 3/4 inch MDF board, put it across here. So I drilled a hole in the end here. As you can see, it was a little bit off when I started there, but that's all right. It still works. So I drilled a little bit of a hole there, and then I took my router with a spiral bit and cut all the way down a slot, all the way down the middle, so that way I'd have the ability to loosen these bolts and slide the fence along the miter gauge. And then after I did that, I cut another part of it here in order to be able to recess the screw heads all the way along, so that way, no matter what, this would whatever the piece is would always sit flush against the fence. So that was a big one for me. After I did that, the other thing that I wanted to have is I wanted to have a stop here, so that way I could make repeatable cuts. All I did was pick up a 3/4 inch piece of T-track at my my local hardware store, and then I bought some of the jig hardware like this from Amazon. And once that stuff came in, now I had the ability to make my own. So I took this track here, and as you can see, there's screws that go all the way along the channel. Because I used MDF, you do have to pre-drill those holes, or else when you put a screw in, it's just going to completely split it. So I pre-drilled the holes, I put in the small screws that the track came with, and then I took this this little stop. This is 2 1/2 inch pieces of MDF, one on the front, one on the top. And as you might be able to see, there is a little seam right there. All I did was glue these together and clamp them with a 90-degree clamp to make sure that they stayed perfectly square. Once they were dry, I drilled a hole in the top that was large enough to get a 1/4 inch 20 bolt through, which has got the T-track head on the other end. Once I did that, now I have the ability to just go like this, slide this wherever I want, and then tighten that down, and it stays in place. The reason this glue seam is okay, there's no other reinforcement there, is because we're not putting a lot of weight on this. All we're doing is simply pushing a piece up against it to hold it for it to hold its place. So this doesn't have to bear a lot of weight, and so because of that, I really wasn't too worried about it, and it's worked actually really good for a pretty long period of time so far. The other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to, in line with being able to make repeatable cuts, is I wanted to have a measurement on here, so that way I knew exactly where to set my stop, so that way I could repeat the same cut over and over again. So I ordered this this little 1/4 inch wide imperial measuring tape that was peel and stick from Amazon, and what I did is I stuck it on the front here, starting at 3/16 of an inch. The reason why I started at 3/16 of an inch is because I wanted to make sure that the fence here wasn't going to make direct contact with the blade. So there's typically about a 3/8 gap in between the edge of this fence and the saw blade itself. So all I did for that is I set it up here at 3/16 of an inch. I stuck the entire thing on, and then I went over to the table saw. I'd put this in the miter slot, and then when I dropped it in the miter slot, I loosened these bolts here, and I would adjust the fence until it was exactly 3/16 of an inch away from the edge of the carbide tooth. I'll show you that. And then it worked out really well. And then ever since then, I've been able to just, let's say I want a piece cut at 10 inches. I can go like that. I can set it at 10 inches and then just push this through, and this is going to cut 10 inches over and over and over again. So the miter gauge is probably one of the things that I use the most. I don't have a miter sled or anything, or sorry, a cross-cut sled. I don't have one of those because of all the different cuts that I do. I like this a little bit more simply because I can also get a lot of the angles out of it, but I can also get a completely straight piece if I want to as well at a 90-degree angle. And if you look here, you can see that when I set my machinist square down, I've got the fence perfectly squared to here, which is good. That's important. And the other part is to make sure that this is also perfectly square with the bar itself. In this case here, a little bit hard to see, but it is perfectly square. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time. Thanks.